A friend of mine had sent me a screenshot of the front page of, I believe, a TMZ article that showed that Jussie had been attacked. I went to my brother, ran to him, and was like, yo, mission accomplished. We did it. So we were like, good job. Now we've secured the payment of our $500 that he owes us because he only wrote us a check of $3,500.
This documentary available on Fox Nation for $5.99 a month. It's called Jussie Smollett, Anatomy of a Hoax. So far, I'm only on part 1. There's 5 parts. I'm going to be doing a recap of all 5 parts. And I do have to admit, I'm going to say it's way better than I thought it was going to be. Some HBO quality content here. Thanks for watching. Welcome to T Street Controversy. We're going to take some time to look at some clips and talk about this first episode. There's 5 in total. And man, it is wild. When I first heard about the Jussie Smollett story back in January 29th of 2019, around 2:30 in the morning, Jussie Smollett was attacked on one of the coldest nights of the year, sub-zero below temperatures in Chicago, a wealthy area of Chicago, on his way to go get some Subway. He said he was attacked by 2 MAGA supporters, Donald Trump supporters. One black, one white, one wearing a MAGA hat. When the police show up, I'm going to show you that clip. He has a noose around his neck. Those 2 gentlemen there, I don't want to butcher their names, but Bola and Ola were hired by Jussie Smollett, paid a sum of $3,500, and the last $500 they would get once the job was complete. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. This is T Street Controversy. The links to my social media are right down below in the description box. And as time goes on, as I get a chance to really learn how to do video editing, I'm going to be reviewing a lot more documentaries. It's something that I'm interested in. And also, obviously, I'm always going to be covering boxing. For those who don't know who Jussie Smollett is, he's currently, as it stands right now, in March of 2023, he's 40 years old. During the time when this happened, he was one of the breakout stars of Fox's show called Empire, a music, R&B, hip hop show. This is from the police body cam of the night that Jussie Smollett is saying he was attacked. He's got this noose around his neck. Now, he wants you to believe, or wanted people to believe, that in a very affluent, I guess you can say, downtown Chicago area, on one of the coldest nights of the year, as he was on his way 2:30 in the morning to go get some damn Subway, that 2 MAGA supporters wearing big red MAGA hats somehow ran into him. And they had a noose, and they were going around, I'm guessing, looking for black men to harass in the freezing cold. It doesn't make sense. And you're going to see how it just starts to spiral out of control, and some of the decisions that the police and the media had to make, or what they thought from the beginning was that it was a hoax. They just couldn't say it.
So he is like a star. He works on the show Empire. So I think he doesn't want that to be a big deal. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
And the thing that bothers me the most, kind of makes me emotional, is they put a makeshift what you call the thing, a noose around his fucking neck. Sorry, you know.
Do you guys live together? Or?
No. I'm just his creative director. Okay.
Okay. Do you want to take it off or anything?
Yeah, I do. I just want y'all to see.
72 members.
There's bleach on me. Bleach on me.
Okay.
I don't want to be filmed. Okay, so can we turn it off?
Yeah. You're giving us permission to shut it off?
Just wow. Now, here's the police report.
If you've never experienced a polar vortex, it's not something you want to be outside in for very long. It shakes you at your bones, no matter how much clothing you're wearing. Your eyelashes freeze, you can feel your nose hairs, your teeth start to chatter.
A second day with record-breaking temperatures plunging into the double digits below zero, and the center of the nation locked in a deep freeze. Leaders are stressing the bitter cold still needs to be treated as lethal.
So I'm sorry, it was no way that I was going to believe, even back then, before all of the holes started getting poked into the story, that there were going to be criminals out. That criminals will commit crime anytime. But to be out there wearing MAGA hats on the coldest days of recent history, you got 20 below zero, Jack. Not wind chills. And they're just searching around for a victim, carrying around a small ass bottle of hot sauce filled with bleach and a noose. Like, what?
And we all start reading the story, and we all kind of look at each other, and we're like, there's no way that happened. But nobody was going to say anything. This is a racial issue. We're not going to say anything. I do my newscast that night, and I go home, and I call one of the public information officers at the city of Chicago at 10:45 at night. He answers his phone. And I'm not going to give his real name. Let's just call him Steve. And I said, hey, Steve, so what's the deal with this Jussie Smollett story? And Steve goes, oh, my God, it's a bunch of bullshit. It never happened. And I said, well, can I quote you on that on the record? And he's like, no. He goes, just tweet out that Chicago police are taking this very seriously, but that we're skeptical. Now, if you've ever covered any sort of police department, you know that a public information officer will never give you anything demonstrative. Every statement is police are investigating, we have no information at this time. As we get more information, we will give it to you. They'll never give you anything with any color to it. The fact that a public information officer went on the record and said, we're not buying it, made my jaw hit the floor.
A public information officer is basically the city's PR person going on the record to say, listen, we're investigating, but it's some bullshit. We think it's some bullshit. That's pretty much what they're saying. Wild. But the city at the time, as we talked about before, is they were so scared of the civil unrest potential with all the looting, and boy, they don't know what was going to come a year later, huh? It's crazy, what happened a year later, if the COVID lockdowns and the crime. But anyway, and then when you had a lot of the black culture, now you had two sides of black culture. I know that when I first heard the story, and when people close to me, we would talk about it, we'd be like, yo, that shit sound funny. I think I distinctly remember even Dave Chappelle at one point questioning it, like, yo, this sound like some bullshit. We didn't think, at least I didn't think that he hired somebody. I thought that maybe something happened and he didn't want, I don't know. But I was like, there's no way he could just orchestrate all of this for clout. Like, the shit didn't make any sense. But we already learned that he's a weirdo. No matter how famous and talented you can be, you can still be a weirdo. But from the very beginning, the police knew it was bullshit. City officials knew it was bullshit. Public officials knew it was bullshit. Media knew it was bullshit. And then you had viewers of this as it played out on television, skeptical. But you had, a lot of black people like, you know what? He would never lie about nothing like that. No way, it's got to be real. Because why would he lie? You see what I'm saying? And look here, this is what I was talking about. This is Eddie Johnson, former superintendent of the Chicago PD. Listen to what he had to say.
I'm like, something ain't right with this here. When you've been a cop for so long, you get certain instincts about certain things. So I remember the detective that put that footage together. We all both thinking, that don't look like two white guys walking down the street. Sometimes they just have different gaits, and that's what we saw on this video. They were walking like black guys from the neighborhood. They really were. And you have to spend
I like how they played the soul music as they was walking down the street.
a lot of time, get an instinct for that kind of thing. I remember telling the chief of detectives, those are two black guys. Those are two black guys.
Eddie Johnson said he could tell
in the footage that you guys were black, right?
Really? I feel like he's just saying that.
Hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah,
Cap.
come on.
I call cap on that. I call cap
man.
on that.
We was in character the whole time.
So you think you guys are believable white supremacists?
100%. Look at me.
Okay, first of all,
Images released from Chicago police don't show much detail, but they're the latest in the alleged hate crime against Empire star Jussie Smollett.
So the first photo that we put out, we actually had a better photo. So now, in full disclosure, I can say this. The reason why we wouldn't let him put it out was because it did have a red MAGA hat. Red.
Now, that's crazy. Now, I understand, why they did that, because can you imagine he's going to address that, the uproar that would have been in the city of Chicago, even though it would have been cold as shit, if they would have saw that red MAGA hat. And it's lucky for those two guys, the two brothers, that they didn't see that hat.
About cap. I can't remember if it said MAGA or not, but I didn't want people to focus on that because it would cause more angst. So now that next day when everybody finds out about it, do you think we would have had some issues in the city? Yeah, we would have, because black people, minority folks, and the gay community would have been outraged.
Of course, I had no reason to disbelieve Jussie when he says that he's walking in a white neighborhood in Chicago and is attacked by racists and Trump supporters. Of course, I believe him.
We all know why we're out here. Jussie Smollett was attacked in a racist, homophobic attack by members of the MAGA movement, and we are done with it.
We want to make it clear. We know, but we want everybody to know that this is a racist, brutal, anti-black, homophobic attack of hate violence.
Those MAGA hats and people who say, "Make America Great," embody what terrorism is in current day America.
I got the call from one of the PIOs saying, "You're not going to believe this. I just watched the surveillance video. I saw Smollett carrying a Subway sandwich after the supposed attack. He still had the rope around his neck." And I'm like, "Really? He was still carrying a sandwich?" And that must have been one fucking great sandwich. And I'm like, "Can I tweet that?" And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." I said, "Can I use your name?" He's like, No, just say anonymous source.
It's an unbelievable story from the jump. It's like, it was so cold. You're going to Subway 2:30 in the morning. These guys, were they stalking you? To show up, the noose is on your neck. They're carrying bleach. They didn't really beat you up or rough you up. It didn't make sense from the jump. And then he's going to make it even worse. And it looks like this first part of this documentary, and there are 5 parts. Let me show you real quick while you guys are here. I'm watching on Fox Nation. So yeah, it's 5 parts. Second episode is Betrayal. We're going to watch that next. I'm going to try to get one of these out each day. We're going to watch maybe 2 a day. We're going to watch the third one. They're both about between 32 and 40 minutes apiece on Fox Nation. I'm on a $5.99 a month free trial, so I'm going to try to get them all in before the free trial is up. But they got some interesting documentaries on here anyway. But yeah, take your time out, like the video, subscribe. As time goes on, I'm going to get better in editing these. I'm not really good at editing, but it's something that I need to get better at. You can follow me on Twitter at T Street Controversy. And any documentaries you want me to review, let me know down below in the comments. On the 2nd of February, just a few days later, he was over in LA. It was already an event that was already planned, where he had a performance in this venue, and it was a sold out venue. Tickets had started selling crazy because it was his first outside appearance or media appearance or celebrity appearance since the incident. So it was called the Troubadour Concert venue. And here's what one of the DJs, who was originally supposed to play that night, had to say about his thoughts.
Here he is doing a show at a very public place, middle Los Angeles, a ton of media, right? It's just like a spectacle. And I was like, man, I hope nothing happens. So Jussie takes the stage, and it's a good show.
Like he's doing his thing. The dude is talented. But during the middle of the show, and this is when I trusted my instincts. This is when I came to the realization that this is not real.
I was bruised, but my ribs were not cracked. They were not broken. I went to the doctor immediately. Frank Gatson drove me. I was not hospitalized.
I'm listening and I'm in there. My heart is in there. I'm like, this is what's up. Wow, we're getting it straight from the horse's mouth.
And above all, I fought the fuck back.
He then says,
I'm the gay Tupac.
And the crowd just goes crazy. They wanted to believe it. But in my mind, when he says that, it was a letdown. I knew it was false. I knew.
Makes me sick. All that for what? Just a little bit of clout. This loser. And then as the plot thickens, you know, and it's funny how all this is coming back to me now. And it played out on our TV screens. It's all coming back to me. You know, he wasn't helping the police. There's like, okay, let us get your cell phone. He's like, nah. And what made it even worse is, now I found this part hilarious. I call her the trash sniffing reporter.
When I first arrived in Chicago after being told to go there to cover the Jussie story, we're about like a week and a half after the crime actually happened. So the story's already been international news. So I was like, let me just go check out the scene of the crime. Chicago's a notoriously clean city. In New York City, there's trash all the time, everywhere. So that's not really saying much if you see trash on the ground, you know, X amount of days after an event happened. But in Chicago, it is saying something. I'm looking around, and then I notice a hot sauce bottle. It was an unusual piece of trash, and as a New Yorker, I know trash very well. So I pick it up, and I kind of smell it, and it had this like kind of soapy smell. And I was like, this is all just like super weird. At the time that I found this piece of evidence, all we knew is that Jussie had a chemical agent poured on him and that the vessel that the agent came from had never been recovered. That's all we knew at that point. They had his clothes, but they never found the bottle where the bleach was poured on him. At the time, you know, there's a manhunt all over the city. The Chicago Police Department has deployed all of their resources. They have thrown everything in the kitchen sink at this story because it's making international waves. So then I had the fun task of calling up the Chicago Police Department's Detective Bureau and saying, hi, I'm a journalist here covering the scene, and I think I found something that's a little bit strange and you guys might want to come take a look at it.
And they find the bottle, the hot sauce bottle filled with bleach. So they got the noose, the hot sauce bottle, they got body cam. Jussie Smollett is not cooperating. And now they got to get the brothers.
And then at the same time, I'm working the Chicago Police Department as well for any updates in the case. I'm pumping them, you know, I demand an interview. I was like, we're the New York Post. I'm like, we're a national newspaper. We circulate right here in Chicago, so talk to me about this case. And I started to kind of get that hint that not everything was adding up with them. And you start to get the vibe that he's not really helping this investigation. And then, of course, the question is, why wouldn't you be helping the investigation? You've been the victim of a horrifying crime.
By day 3, the media, the police, the public officials already knew that the story had many holes in it and they didn't believe it.
When did you know for sure this wasn't a hate crime?
I think maybe by that third day is when the detectives had the evidence and linked it to the Osendero brothers.
They had video of them getting in the cab, shopping clear as day for the items that were used in the hoax. They had everything.
The The detectives did an awesome job of collecting that video and tracking it back. By that time, we knew it was a hoax because we know the Darrell brothers are the ones that perpetrated it. So we had it dead to rights. You know, we just needed them to tell us what actually happened. They're out of the country, so I didn't want anybody knowing about that. We also knew when they were coming back, which wasn't that big of a time frame. But my fear was this, because we knew they were out of the country, I didn't want them getting wind of it and not come back to Chicago.
So the whole time, they knew that, okay, we know who we're going after, but let's not release too much to the media, but just enough to let them know that we're on it, but also letting them know that we're kind of skeptical, you know, and I understand why they did it, as they were saying, or as Eddie Johnson said, is that he wanted to not cause any civil unrest. But look at this right here. Video evidence from more than 55 sources tied to the the brothers to the attack. Here's what the brothers had to say, because they're funny, like they're hilarious.
What are you expecting?
Flying back from Nigeria, we were expecting our other $500 check. We need our cheese. We need the rest of our money. I felt like I was just gonna get back to business. Head back, start doing auditions, continue working out, and living my great life.
I had a whole different feeling. I felt like the police was waiting for me. That's what I felt like. They're releasing all these little bits of evidence, but they knew it was us. I was like, they're just waiting for us to come back. And lo and behold, when I was getting off the plane, the customs agent was checking everyone's passport. And when they got to me, they pulled me aside. 2 big-ass police officers came up. I went with them, I was like, damn, it's over with. They got me.
It was like a movie itself.
It was like a movie.
Confirming they've been talking with 2 people of interest in the case for hours. The reason why the men were there is now central to the investigation.
I don't believe it's my boys. I don't know what's going on, but I know it's not them.
Just because they were black doesn't mean that they weren't the perpetrators here.
This was just some Hollywood shit.
It's MAGA country. Yeah, you heard me.
And I'm just in my head like, what the F?
The start of Jussie's own demise was his interview with Robin Roberts.
That's when I told Gloria, like, yeah, I'm ready to talk to the police and
Damn, so they like, he going to do TV interviews, trying to throw us under the bus and milking it. They like, we going to tell on him. Fuck him. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. We're going to watch episode 2 later on, and I'll be releasing that content soon.